Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of It's Messy, but It's So Good. And today my guest is Beth Greer. And Beth is an award-winning journalist, healthy home transformer, and founder and CEO of True Vitality Project. And back in the day, Beth, I don't know if you guys remember the Learning Annex. Beth was the president and co-owner of the Learning Annex, which was a renowned alternative adult education company. I certainly remember that. And Beth really shares about her journey of being diagnosed with a tumor and how she went on a health journey that not only changed her health for the better, but changed the whole trajectory of her life. So sit back and enjoy the show, and also take note of the LifeWave patches that she talks about towards the end of the podcast, which I actually will speak a little bit more about towards the end of the podcast. Okay, so enjoy the show. Welcome to It's Messy, but It's So Good. And today I have my lovely guest, Beth Greer. And I just want to introduce a little bit about Beth. She is called the Supernatural Mom, and she's an award-winning journalist, healthy home transformer, and founder and CEO of True Vitality Project. And I feel very blessed to have met Beth through a mutual, beautiful friend. And today we're just going to talk about your journey and your health transition and all the things that you're passionate about. So Beth, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here, Fran.
So let's start with just your journey, your passion for your supernatural mom and your healthy home transformer, and how that all relates to expanding your own health.
Okay, so it was about 20 years ago. I was running a large multinational company called the Learning Annex. We had a school in New York City. I don't know if you've ever taken classes, but we had Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra and all the best-selling authors who were coming through town. But I was president of this company, and it grew to 6 schools across the US and Canada. And I didn't realize how stressed I was. I was just working constantly and putting out these catalogs and attending classes. I was enjoying myself, but it was really stressful, and really not paying attention to my body or, being out in nature, everything that these people were talking about, how important it is to get out in nature for at least an hour a day and get in the sunlight and all that. I wasn't doing any of that. And so I also we would take a 2-week vacation, usually go to Hawaii and just sleep most of the time because I was just so exhausted. And all of a sudden I had this pain in my shoulder. It was December, I remember this. And I thought, what's that? Where did that come from? And the pain was getting worse and worse. And so when I got back to California, went to a chiropractor, had 5 sessions, and it wasn't getting better. And he said, you need to get an MRI because I think you have a herniated disc. So I go get an MRI, and it's not a herniated disc. They found a mass in my chest. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Big. It was the size of a tennis ball. I thought, how could this happen to me? Thought I was doing everything right. I thought I was eating well, and I was exercising as much as I could. I thought I was happy, and I even had this meditation practice where I'd call my staff into my office every day at 4:00, and we'd have 20 minutes of meditation. It's now I have a tumor in my chest. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, long story short, I had a biopsy, and they did a needle biopsy, and they said, it's not cancerous, but it's called a schwannoma tumor. It's a nerve root tumor, and you need to have surgery. So you should find a surgeon. And so, the pain was getting worse and worse. It was radiating down my arm because it was pressing on the brachial plexus, the nerves that run down your arm. And my first 3 fingers were getting numb. And I went to the first doctor and he said, oh, we're going to cut you under your collarbone to get the tumor out. And then the second doctor said, oh, no, we're going to go in under your armpit. And then I went to a third opinion, and he said, no, we're going to go in from your back and remove one of your ribs. And then I'm going to put mesh back there. And I'm just like listening to this. And I thought, I don't want to have surgery. And I went to see a neurosurgeon who said, it's very risky surgery. You could lose the movement, the feeling in your hand permanently. And wait as long as you can. He said, I don't like any of the doctors in the Bay Area, the thoracic surgeons. You should find someone else, on the East Coast. Anyway, so I just thought, like, I need to kind of figure this out. And I went to the Optimal Health Institute in near San Diego for a week of it's a place where you do juicing and fasting and colonics and meditation. And so I kind of limped in there. I was just a mess and scared. And I remember, well, first of all, by the third day of juicing and fasting, the pain started to diminish. And I thought, well, that's interesting. What's going on there? And then we had this meditation where they had everybody talk to their disease. And I went in and I asked, okay, why are you here? I asked my tumor, like, what's your message to me? I closed my eyes, listened, and the word came, simplify. And that was it. And I realized I'm not leading a simple life at all. I'm very, very complex. And then I thought, okay, what can I simplify? So first, what I was eating. So I realized I was not eating simple food. I was eating out all the time because I was running this business and so didn't have time to cook. So I switched out to very simple. I actually went raw vegan for a while. And then I thought, okay, what else can I simplify? And I was putting some moisturizer on my skin and I looked at the label on the bottle and it had like a paragraph worth of chemicals in it. And I thought, well, this can't be good. So I started doing research about all these chemicals and how they impact the endocrine system, and they're toxic and toxic to the liver. And so I threw them out and just started using natural products, including makeup and like that. And then thought, well, what else can I simplify? And I remember I was spraying down the counter with Windex. And then I looked at the label on that, and on the back it said, caution, hazardous to humans and domestic animals. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this is not, a healthy thing to use. And so I threw that away. And then I did research on how to clean using white vinegar and hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, like that. So it took about, I'd say, 6 months, and the pain disappeared. And then I was like shocked. I was also working with a holistic doctor and using some machine to help move the lymph. It was kind of an energetic light machine. And I was jumping on a mini trampoline to move the lymph and all that, because he thought that was a big part of it, lymph congestion. Anyway, 6 months, pain gone. And so I waited another few months, and then I had another scan to see what was going on, and the tumor had disappeared.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it was a huge wake-up call to me. And I realized, I see, okay, we can heal ourselves if we don't gunk up our bodies with everything that we're exposed to on a daily basis, from the preservatives and additives in our food, to the bad cooking oils, to the stuff we're putting on our skin, the deodorant. I switched to like baking soda instead of, I was using some toxic deodorant before. And and the cleaning supplies. And then I also looked at the electromagnetic fields we're exposed to on a daily basis and remedied those. So I healed. And then I started writing articles about it in my local paper, just about my experience, and for people to pay attention to what they're putting in them, on them, and surrounding them. And then I sent those articles to the San Francisco Chronicle to do a column. So they hired me to write a column called The Natural Home, I think it was called. And what happened next was they got all these letters. Who's Beth Greer? She's not a scientist. What does she know about makeup? There's nothing wrong with makeup. There's no, so there's mercury in mascara. It was crazy. So basically I think by the fourth month of articles, they said, we don't have the staff to answer the letters. And I looked up who was writing these letters. There were some like conservative group. I don't know. It was beyond, than just, it wasn't just people, your average person. There was an agenda going on, I believe. They didn't want me writing about it. So I then pitched it to, a book agent, and Rodale wound up publishing my book in 2009, and it was endorsed by Deepak Chopra and Joseph Mercola and Ralph Nader. So it became like a bestseller. I was really proud that I did that and helped people. So
yeah, and the book is called
Supernatural Home, 3 words.
Supernatural Home, Improve Your Health, Home, and Planet.
One room at a time. So
one room at a time.
Yeah, I go through each. So because it can feel overwhelming for somebody, I think, to like all of a sudden, make all these changes all at once. So I break it down into simple steps.
Yeah, and I'd love if you could talk a little bit about that, because this is it's messy, but it's so good. So it might be a little bit messy for people to make these changes. And I love that you're saying that they're small. So can you suggest like a few things that you did? Because when you were sharing, I see that you were taking each aspect one step at a time, the cleaning products, what you put on your body. So what would be helpful to people to be successful?
Yeah, I think it's looking at the things you either use the most or eat the most, and take a look at those first. So if you are eating a lot of dairy, make sure that dairy is organic. Same with meat or chicken. Make sure that if that's what you're eating, then you want to make sure that you're buying organic, pasture raised, 100% grass fed, that sort of thing. And the same with what you're putting on your skin. If you're using a certain toothpaste, switch to an all natural brand, or deodorant, or moisturizers. This is something that you're using the most of. The same with the cleaning products. So I think that's kind of the thing. I mean, eating organic to me is key. And it's, I mean, there's so much pesticides and glyphosate in so many of the products that people eat. And some of it is surprising, because they are now spraying glyphosate on wheat to dry it. So the farmers can grow wheat, and maybe they're not using any chemicals on it, but then they'll spray it with this glyphosate to dry it so it doesn't get moldy to go into the trucks. So there's studies have been come out about, for example, Quaker Oats and Cheerios having really high levels of glyphosate, because the oats are being sprayed before the processing happens.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So that's kind of what my next book is going to be. I just started working on my next book, how we're being really exposed, in unsuspecting ways, and including our vitamins Like we think, for years I was taking, handfuls of supplements, and now I see how they're made, and mostly they're produced by, big pharmaceutical companies. So they're not so natural. You can have natural on the label. They're not really that natural. So
Yeah, I'm very careful about my supplements. I get them from a very reputable company.
yeah, that's good.
But I know a lot of people will be in CVS and they'll just grab something that they
Right.
see there, and those are not.
Yeah. Right. The same like Kirkland, because when I was living in California, I used to do these home visits, and I would I'd read people's labels and all this, and someone was taking like a vitamin D, and it was Kirkland brand, and then I looked at it and it contained soy oil, believe it or not. Like, what is this doing in your vitamin D? So, you don't want to be eating rancid soy oil. So
Yeah.
it's no idea. Just figured, oh, vitamin D, I need it. And so,
Yeah, that would be so helpful to people. Like if you had just like the common things that people really need. I know some people might not, and some need more than others, and just have a list of
right,
alternatives, not necessarily endorsing any brand over another, but
right. Just what to pay attention to. And then how important minerals are, because we're so deficient in magnesium for the most part, and selenium. So things like that. That's going to be part of the book, just a
that's
piece.
great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as far as anything else that you're doing right now, you're writing your book, and I know that you're a big proponent and you're using LifeWave stem cell light patches. If you
Yeah.
could share a little bit about that and how that has helped your health in general.
Sure. Yeah. So ever since I had this recovery from the tumor, I was on the lookout for non-toxic, non-invasive ways of healing. And so in 2020, a friend of mine who I respected a lot, who had a healing center in Los Angeles, she called me and told me about these patches. And so I decided to give them a try. So I gave them like a 3-month trial. So by month 2, what I noticed, well, first I noticed my sleep became very deep. I had better dream recall, and my energy was definitely better. But by the end of month 2, I had noticed that I had been kicked in the leg as a teenager playing soccer, and the person playing, she wasn't wearing tennis shoes, she was wearing leather shoes, and so she kicked me in the shin, and my leg became kind of swollen. And over the year, every 10 years, I'd say, it would look worse and worse. And so then I would have, injections, because I had all these varicose veins and swelling, and my ankle was swollen, my foot was swollen. I guess it's called lymphedema, but it just was ugly. I mean, it looked like the leg of a 90-year-old woman. And so after wearing the patches, and not even wearing them on my leg, I was wearing them on the back of my neck, there was a dramatic change in my ankle and foot, and I had taken, before and after pictures. And so that was it for me. I was like, this is incredible. So what the patches do is they're non-invasive, non-transdermal, so there's no medicine in them. Like, it's not like a nicotine patch or anything, but they're stimulated by the light and heat of our bodies, and it stimulates the patch, which in turn stimulates a peptide inside us, which produces stem cells. And stem cells are needed for healing, for anti-inflammation. They're great for producing collagen, like that. So that was, back in 2020. And then I introduced the patch to a friend with multiple sclerosis, and she couldn't feel her feet. She had terrible neuropathy. That's gone. She called me up one day. She's like, I can feel my toes. It was
Wow.
pretty amazing. So, and then she turned her friend on who had Parkinson's. And when I met her, she had been walking with a cane in the house, leg brace, and outdoors she had those walking sticks, and now she's not using any of them. So yeah, it's been pretty miraculous. So, just every day they have these testimonial calls, and just ordinary people, having these transformations. So I'm really jazzed about it because I really do think that this is kind of the medicine of the future. And
Yes.
in fact, yeah. So they have like a patch, a glutathione patch, and most pills you might get a 20%, maybe 40% increase in glutathione. But this patch, they've measured 300% increase in glutathione, and
Wow.
glutathione is a real important substance that we need for healing, and it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to, you know, break out of this pharmaceutical
Mhm.
model that we're in. I mean, yes, I'm not saying get rid of all medications, but it's like an unhealthy, there's other options that people could be doing to enhance their health. And you've talked a lot about that. But there's so much more, and hopefully more will be coming down the pipe in the future. I know that I've just started using the LifeWave patches, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results that it can have for me. So
Good.
more to come about that.
Good. And you mentioned, before we started that you thought, your energy was better and that you were healing from long COVID. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it wasn't really long COVID. I had COVID in January, but I was saying that, it seems like even though I didn't have a very intense respiratory symptoms, it definitely lingers a bit when you have COVID for most people, unless they have a very, very light, you know, case. Mine was, I would say, 0 to 10. It was a good 7.5 to 8, you
Oh,
know. Um, not like the Delta virus back then, but for the virus that's out now. So I was able to like clear that up fairly quickly, where it was lingering, and every week it just got better and better and better. And I have my energy back. The only thing that I'm feeling now is a little bit, still little brain fog. Like I'll walk in a room and I'm like, I had that before, but now I'll be like a little bit more like, why did
yeah.
I come in here? What am I looking for? And it comes right back. But I do see that improvement. I think I was able to heal from COVID,
Excellent. Yeah,
well. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing what else I notice as I go through my journey with light wave patches.
great.
So, as far as your company, the True Vitality Project,
Mhm.
can you talk a little bit about that and how that came together?
Um, I just feel like vitality is the word, is how I want to feel. Um, it's not like anti-aging, but it's really having true vitality. And so it's really just an umbrella for my work. So the book will fall under there, the patches, the anything else that I kind of discover. I'm working with a red light box that I'm experimenting with right now, and seeing how that is impacting me. I'm also working with some homeopathy. There's a new product that hasn't been launched yet from South Africa, called Miracle Tooth, and it's I just started, and I'm noticing already that I have less plaque and my teeth feel smoother, like the food isn't sticking to it and to my teeth. And that's a homeopathic, you just swish it in your mouth. It's very interesting. So this True Vitality Project, it's really the umbrella to take a look at all of these different
Right.
modalities.
Yes. And when you go to your website, you also have some PDFs that people could download as a gift to subscribe to your email list. Can you just share a little bit about the gifts that they could receive?
Yeah, I have a PDF on eliminating EMFs. So recognizing where they're coming from and then addressing how to, protect yourself from it. So EMFs are electromagnetic fields. So that's like a real big issue right now for many people. And I think a lot of people are not aware is that their router, for example, I mean, I spent many years with my Wi-Fi router right next to my legs in my office. It didn't even occur to me that I was being, beamed these high frequency fields that can weaken us. So there are tips in there just about how to measure and turn off your Wi-Fi router at night, unplug, even from the walls in our bedrooms, if they're plugged in but not turned on, they're still emitting a field. So I like to either unplug everything or turn the circuit breaker off to the bedroom at night. It can make a really big difference in your sleep. You might want to think about that just as an experiment, just see how that goes.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time I tried it, it's like, it's just like, I feel so relaxed because, we're just like, there's this constant buzz and we get used to it. There's the computers. So the other thing I do with my phone is I make sure that the cellular data is turned off when I'm not using it or if it's near me, because I'll take my meter and I'll put it by the phone and it has a big field. And when I turn the data off, it drops way down. So you can still receive texts and you can still receive phone calls and make them. You just can't talk to Siri and you can't search the web. So when you want to do that, turn it on. But when you don't want to, turn it off.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
So what I always ask my guests is, what do you think is the biggest gift that you have received from your journey?
Without a doubt, it's that tumor in my chest because it really changed the trajectory of my life. I mean, it really so often, things we interpret as horrible things happen to us. And then in retrospect, you look back and go, wow, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be on this wonderful path now. So I remember, just like dropping to my knees and just asking God, like, why, why? It just seemed like because first of all, the pain was just so intense. I couldn't lie down. Like I couldn't even go get massages because I couldn't lie flat on a massage table. So I found Watsu, which is water shiatsu. So I would get into a warm pool and have somebody work my body. I mean, that's how much pain I was in. So when you're in that kind of pain, you just get like freaked out. But anyway, so yeah, looking back, it was definitely that experience. It just changed everything.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And I know I just want to mention, they can reach you at truevitalityproject.com. That's the website, and find out about all the things that you offer. And I want to thank you very much for coming on, because it's so important to share this information to help people, not only with their physical health, but their mental health, their spiritual health. And your journey, might inspire someone out there to make a change that will really help them. So I appreciate that. So thanks for sharing your passion. And
Thank you,
I'll talk to you soon. You're
I
welcome.
wanted to thank you because I really think that what you're doing is such a gift also, that, to really bring in all this information for people, and your passion is incredible. So
Oh, thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. See you soon. Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening to another episode of It's Messy, but It's So Good. And I want to thank my guest today, Beth Greer. Thanks, Beth, so much for sharing your journey, how your life and your health has improved with the changes that you made and the products. I want to just encourage you to take a look at Beth's website, truevitalityproject.com, and you can see there that you can get some free downloads on how to get started with improving your health. I also just want to note that I've been on the LifeWave patches now for about 7 months, and I noticed a lot of improvements, some of them subtle, but nonetheless positive. I noticed a big change in my skin. I recovered from my annual poison ivy every summer pretty quickly. I noticed my skin's less dry. My facial skin looks a lot better. I also recovered pretty quickly from COVID back in January after I was on the patches for about 6 weeks. And then I don't have as much intermittent pain that I had in my left wrist from arthritis in my thumb. So that includes me, lifting weights and so forth and doing my normal activities. If you want to check out LifeWave patches, you can go to the show notes to www.startx39.com, and it explains all the science. And then if you want to order patches and you want to check it out, you can go to lifewave.com/Fran Medina. You can get a discount on a silver package, and I can go over more detail with you if you have questions and you want to email me at fran@franmedinacoaching.com. I think any way we can improve our health and vitality more naturally is always a win-win. So again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.